he will not, of course, urging those who are planning to go to the streets tomorrow to shun that, as he has formed the broad-based government. Now, remember, the cabinet nominees approved by the House will be sworn in tomorrow in the morning at State House, Nairobi. Welcome to K24 Evening Edition. First of all, let's have a look at what's making headlines.
Nane tomorrow is going to be covered within the legal constitution, and we are hoping that the police will also be legal with us in the streets.
Gen Z youths gearing up for yet another round of protests tomorrow in their quest for reforms in the country, even as police warn goons of infiltrating the demos.
Hatutaki maandamano ambayo inaleta maafa, ambayo inalete kuharibifu wa mali.
President William Ruto warns participants of the planned Nane protest tomorrow, calling on Kenyans to embrace peace and stability.
Solidarity forever.
Teachers' unions issue a nationwide strike notice from the 26th of August, demanding implementation of their 2021-2025 CBA, in a move expected to paralyze third-term learning.
The notes that we have, they are getting old.
Central Bank of Kenya announces changes in currency denominations, which includes new security threats, with a new 1,000 shillings note set to be released fast. Well, welcome to the program. I am Ian Keitani, and our sign language interpreter is Clement Muli. Remember, you can watch this particular bulletin live across our social media platforms at K24 TV. Now, another round of protests by the Gen Z youth are slated to start tomorrow, go on tomorrow, with the youth insisting that, regardless of what political leaders say, they will be on the streets to pressure President William Ruto to vacate office. Let's listen in to what the youth had to say.
Despite calls from leaders across the country urging Gen Zs to consider calling off Thursday's anti-government protests, the youth have vowed to continue with the protests.
Hizi taxes zako zimetoka wapi? Unajali mwananchi wa kawaida kweli? Na ndio tunatoka nje tukuambia, hii government ya Ruto si ya mwananchi wa kawaida, ni ya mabilionaires. Na tutokeni kama tumekasirika. Wakituua tutaendelea na struggle.
Reiterating that their protests will be peaceful, the youth cautioned the police against harassment and brutality.
And today we are saying that Nane tomorrow is going to be covered within the legal constitution, and we are hoping that the police will also be legal with us in the streets.
If we see unidentified men in civilian clothing riding in government vehicles that have obfuscated policies, we shall treat them as robbers.
Following the police warning that the Nane march could be infiltrated by goons threatening the country's security, they have urged their fellow youth to reject being used by politicians to cause chaos.
Kesho ni siku ya kuchukua nchi yetu. Na tunasema ya kwamba tunajua vijana wetu wa ghetto wamekuwa wakitumika kama goons. Kesho ni siku ya kukataa na kusema ya kwamba hizo pesa wamekuwa wakiiba, anakuja kutulipa nazo tunatuibe. Twende tuibia Wakenya wenzetu. Tumekataa hiyo jinga ya tumekataa.
Some of the demands they are calling for include good governance, accountability, reduced taxes, end of nepotism, IEBC reconstitution, affordable education system and affordable health insurance, among other fresh demands. They also maintain that leaders unable to fulfill their mandate should step aside for the sake of a better future for the country.
People need accountability, respect and transparency in governance. These are very rational demands. The Kenyan people are crying loudly that they want a sovereign country not to be ruled by dogs of great powers. They are crying for a pro-people regime.
Elsewhere, the League of Young Civic Educators has urged all young people to register as voters as they prepare for the 2027 general election to ensure that they can be able to vote in the right leaders.
We need to have a force at the moment with the young people so that by 2027 we have a clear presidential candidate who also can be a young a young leader, so that we really have the leadership that we want as the Kenyan people and also as the young people.
Busara Naman, K24 TV.
Now, President William Ruto has sounded a warning to participants of the planned Nani Nani protests, calling on Kenyans to embrace peace and stability. Speaking while on a development tour in Embu County, the head of state called on Kenyans not to engage in protests that could plunge the country into chaos. Brian Amoy now reports.
As the nation's youngest population continues to plan the Nani Nani protest, President William Ruto has now come out to castigate the planned demos on Thursday, sounding a warning to participants. The head of state now says the protests in the past few weeks have been destructive, calling on Kenyans not to engage in the protests that seek to destabilize the country.
Sisi ni nchi ambayo tunaamini kwa amani. Hatutaki fujo katika taifa letu la Kenya. Hatutaki maandamano ambayo inaleta maafa, ambayo inaleta kuharibifu wa mali, ambayo watu wanapoteza mali yao. Tunataka amani. Watu wa Embu mnasema tunataka amani ama mnataka fujo iendelee? Mnataka amani? Ebu ni wale wala anasema tunataka amani katika taifa letu la Kenya.
Kenya's Generation Zoomers have vowed to continue with their push for good governance and accountability in the country. The plan is to shut down the country tomorrow in the protest dubbed Nani Nani. The protesters now want the dissolution of government and the resignation of President William Ruto. The president also defended the move to have the opposition in his cabinet, saying the government of national unity seeks to unite the entire country. Ruto added that the responsibility of advancing the nation now lies with every member of his cabinet as he seeks to share the tag Zakayo with his latest edition.
Mimi juzi nimeunda serikali ya kuunganisha Wakenya wote, kwa sababu sitaki fitina tena na Mkenya yeyote. Hata kama ni kulipa madeni tulipe pamoja, kama ni kutafuta ushuru tutafute pamoja. Mimi peke yangu nisiitwe Zakayo, sisi wote tupange mambo ya kutafuta ushuru ya Kenya. Kwani pesa mimi natafuta ya Kenya inaenda kwa akaunti yangu? Si inaenda kwa akaunti yetu sisi wote? Kwa hivyo kila mtu sasa akuje akuwe Zakayo. Tutafute hiyo ushuru pamoja. Ama mnasema tufanye namna gani? Si ndio? Nimesema wacha niunde serikali ya kuunganisha Wakenya wote. Watu wa Embu mnakubaliana na mimi nilete Wakenya wote pamoja?
Siasa mzuri ni hii siasa ya maendeleo. Kwa sababu nikiuliza hawa wananchi, Mwai Kibaki president wetu alisema nini mwaka wa 2007? Hakuna anakumbuka, lakini kazi tunaikumbuka. Kwa hivyo mimi nauliza sisi wote viongozi, maneno ni soko, maneno ni barabara, bei ya kahawa, bei ya maziwa, maneno ya kupeleka wadosi wetu mbele, na wadosi ni nyinyi ambao mumetupea kazi.
Ruto is on a 3-day development tour of the Mount Kenya region, accompanied by his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, amid claims that a rift is growing between the two.
Sisi tumefika hapa kumsindikisha kiongozi wetu kwa ziara maendeleo. Kwa sababu mwaka 2 iliyopita tulifika hapa kuomba kura. Nyinyi mkatuombea, mkakuwa wangana, mkatupatia kura. Tumekuja kusema asanti na juu yake kurudisha mkono.
The move to have the two on the development tour is seen as an attempt by the executive to show a united front, especially for the Mount Kenya electorate, which played a huge role in the propelling the Kenya Kwanza government to power. Brian Amoy, K24, Nairobi.
Still on matters protest, and the acting Inspector General of Police, Gilbert Masengele, has warned that goons may infiltrate tomorrow's anti-government demonstrations dubbed Nani Nani March, with the Gen Z protesters insisting that tomorrow's demos are still on. Masengele urged them not to invade public installations and protected areas. He further noted that the police will be deployed adequately, calling on protesters to conduct themselves in a peaceful manner.
Already, our intelligence report indicated that there are security threats to the country, with criminal planning to infiltrate tomorrow's demonstration and commit further crimes. In anticipation, we have ensured adequate deployment of security personnel. However, members of public are advised to take extra caution while in crowded areas that are likely to turn riotous. The initial The initial demonstrations that were held by youths, Gen Z, in June were peaceful, but subsequent protests morphed into riots with looters destroying and stealing property. Many police officers and civilians have equally been left either injured or dead. I call upon all officers to remain focused on discharging their constitutional mandate, which is to protect life and property, maintain law and order, and they should do so without any fear or favor.
It is going to be hard for protesters going forward following the tabling of the Assembly and Demonstrations Bill in the National Assembly. The bill seeks to provide a legal framework for regulation of assemblies and demonstrations as outlined in Article 37 of the Constitution. As Bentura Komboka now reports, protesters will be going forward, be among others required to make an application to the police to hold demonstrations.
The Assembly Demonstration Bill that seeks to provide a legal framework for the regulation of assemblies and demonstrations has undergone its first reading in Parliament. The bill, according to legal minds, will give the government powers to impose unnecessary restrictions on Kenyans exercising their democratic rights.
For them to be okay means that if they feel that they do not want to see assemblies or demonstrations, they will never okay, and they'll always give you flimsy reasons. Introduced by
Mbere North Member of Parliament Geoffrey Ruku, it will also see police, if it sails through, given powers to impose conditions on carrying out demos, including preventing protests from taking place in different locations apart from specified routes.
Talks about the regulating officer may in writing specify conditions for holding of assembly or demonstrations. So that again will bring an issue, because now it means, one, you seek approval instead of giving a notice as to how things are right now. They want to seek approval. They decide whether they give the approval or not. And if they give the approval, they give you conditions on how you're going to demonstrate. That in itself will bring constitutional issues, because you might decide to tell me that I want you to demonstrate in a certain way that I do not want, and maybe that suits your agenda.
Further, the bill seeks to have among the requirements of place, date and location of the protests the person who will be leading and controlling the demonstrations, further levying the liabilities incurred from damage of properties in the demos to the organizers.
We've had a scenario where there have been hired goons. So if these goons show up, they touch something and they steal or they do whatever they do or cause mayhem. So you want to say liability will be on this person who ordinarily sought to just have a peaceful demonstration and air their issues or present a petition. So they are saying in essence that even if you provide proof that you told people not to do anything wrong and something wrong happened, that in itself cannot be used as sufficient proof that you, as a person or organization, took reasonable steps to prevent the act in question.
However, the bill contrasts the freedom rights as stipulated in Article 37 of the Constitution.
The regulation officer will then can prevent you holding an assembly. That means, again, they go against the Constitution, because when they say that they will prevent you from holding an assembly, that is Section 7, but Section 8, because of imminent danger. What is imminent danger? And who says it's imminent danger? Sometimes the police, as we've seen, are overzealous, and they go beyond the scope of what they're supposed to do to maintain law and order.
The reading of the bill comes on the heels of a heightened tension on tomorrow's demos, dubbed Nane Nane, set to put pressure on government to account and force the exit of the current regime. Bentura Komboka, K24, Nairobi.
See, it's very interesting, because on the 27th of June 2024 at exactly 2:47 p.m., Geoffrey Ruku, through his X handle, said he had conceded to the will of Kenyans, and thus, in his own words, he said, "I've conceded to the will of Kenyans and thus withdraw the Assembly and Demonstrations Bill 2024. The bill was headed for the public participation stage. Something for you to ponder about. On that note, we just take a brief breather. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go away.
This August.